The person I trusted most didn't just betray me. They erased me, made me invisible, took everything I'd built over 12 years and claimed it as their own while destroying my life with lies so elaborate, even the police believed them. But they made one mistake. They forgot that invisible people see everything. And when I finally understood what they'd really been doing all those years, I knew exactly how to make them pay. This is how I destroyed someone without breaking a single law. My name is Daniel Brooks, and I'm about to tell you how I sent my ex-wife to federal prison using nothing but patience, a manila folder, and her own greed. The coffee maker gurgled at 5:47 that February morning, same as always. 2 sugars, no cream. Sarah had left the night before, taking my manuscript and what I thought was our entire savings. I didn't know about the other accounts yet. I didn't know about the laundering. I just knew my masterpiece was gone. I'd been Portland's best-kept secret for 8 years. Ghostwriter, the invisible man behind Sarah Brooks's literary empire. You've probably read my work. Midnight in the Garden District, The Warsaw Letters. All mine, all published under her name. It was our arrangement. I wrote, she performed. Publishers loved her face, her charm. I had neither. Our apartment above the used bookstore on Burnside had 2 desks. Mine faced the wall, covered in my father's immigration documents I was turning into fiction. Hers faced the window, covered in contracts I never read. "You're too pure for this industry," Sarah had said 3 months into our marriage, sorting through rejection letters addressed to me. "Let me be your shield." I believed her. That was my first mistake. The morning she left, February 15th, she took only a thumb drive containing the Amber Compass. 3 years of work. My father's story of escaping Taiwan, wrapped in a thriller that would finally bear my name. "Your problem, Daniel," she'd said at the door, "is you think words matter more than money." 2 weeks later, the Amber Compass sold to Thornfield Publishing for $400,000. Author Sarah Brooks. A realistic advance for literary fiction, but enough to destroy me when paired with what came next. The divorce papers arrived with a restraining order. I'd allegedly threatened her, stalked her, claimed credit for her work in delusional episodes. Her new agent, Richard Stone, swore he'd witnessed my instability. So did her editor, Sandra Marsh, people I'd never met. My lawyer was a public defender who smelled like cigarettes and defeat. "Just sign. She's got witnesses. You've got nothing." I signed. What else could I do? Fighting would cost money I didn't have, and the restraining order meant I couldn't even enter the courthouse when she was there. Sarah had scheduled every hearing for when I was teaching composition at the community college, the only job I could get with my reputation destroyed. That's when the real nightmare started. Credit cards I'd never opened. Loans against assets I didn't know we owned. All with my signature, forged, but perfectly. Sarah had studied my handwriting for 8 years. She knew every loop and line. I moved to Jade District, where Portland's glamour faded into faux shops and check-cashing stores. My landlord, Mrs. Thompson, didn't care about restraining orders. She cared that I fixed computers and paid rent. The first month alone nearly killed me. Not metaphorically, literally. I'd stopped eating, stopped sleeping, just sat staring at the blank document on my laptop where the Amber Compass used to live. One night, I found myself on the Burnside Bridge at 3 a.m., looking down at the dark water, thinking how easy it would be to just disappear completely. A homeless veteran named Tom saw me, grabbed my shoulder, said 5 words that saved my life. "Your story ain't over yet." He didn't know who I was, didn't know what I'd lost, but he knew that look. He'd seen it in the mirror. I bought him breakfast. He told me about losing everything in Iraq, then losing it again when he came home. "The thing about rock bottom," he said, stirring sugar into his coffee, is that it's solid. You can build on solid. 3 months passed. 3 months of rejection emails, of teaching freshman comp, of instant ramen. Then Emily knocked. Emily Johnson, former Thornfield editor. 26, fired for asking questions. Mr. Brooks, I worked on your wife's book. Ex-wife, and it's not hers. Prove it. That word, prove, changed everything. Emily had been fired for noticing inconsistencies. Sarah's sample chapters read like book reports. The manuscript sang like poetry. She'd kept copies of everything before security escorted her out. Look at this. Emily spread pages across my kitchen table. Her blog posts from 2018. Compare them to page 47 of the manuscript. The difference was obvious, like comparing a child's crayon drawing to a Rembrandt. But obvious isn't enough, I said. No, but Professor Turner might be. Michael Turner taught computational linguistics at Portland State. He'd consulted on 2 plagiarism cases. When I showed him the manuscripts, he smiled. Stylometry isn't perfect, he warned. It's supporting evidence, not proof. But combined with other documentation, it could work. While Turner analyzed, I investigated. Not online. Sarah had scrubbed me from the internet. In person, old school. First stop. John Anderson, our accountant. His office hadn't changed. Same dead plant, same photo of Multnomah Falls. His face when he saw me? That was new. There's a restraining order. Against contacting Sarah. You're not Sarah. I need my own tax records. Legal, boring, safe. John relaxed. The records told a story. Money flowing in patterns that made no sense. Publishing advances, foreign rights sales, audiobook deals, all adding up to far more than our books had ever earned. John, where did this $300,000 from European distribution come from? He pulled more files. Sarah said it was standard, but I never saw any European contracts. Second stop, the Portland Public Library. Not for books, for newspapers. Specifically, financial sections from 2019 to 2023. Richard Stone's name appeared 3 times, all related to a tech startup called Cascade Digital. The CEO, Richard's brother-in-law, Nathan Stone, under SEC investigation for defrauding investors. The connection clicked. They needed to clean money. Publishing was perfect. Subjective value, international sales, complex rights structures. Sarah provided legitimacy. I provided the actual product. But knowing and proving are different animals. I spent 2 weeks living in the Portland Public Library archives, tracking every deal Richard Stone had touched in 5 years. I built a map on my apartment wall. Red string connecting photos, documents, dates. Classic paranoid conspiracy theorist aesthetic. Except mine was real. The pattern was beautiful in its simplicity. Struggling author signs with Richard. Gets massive advance from publisher, book flops. But money's already clean. The publishers were victims too, seduced by Richard's reputation and Sarah's charm. They'd lost millions on books that never had a chance. One night, hunched over microfiche until my eyes burned, I found the smoking gun, a single LLC registered in Delaware, Narrative Solutions, that connected Cascade Digital, Richard's agency, and Sarah's literary services. It had been dissolved the day after our divorce was finalized. They'd been planning my erasure for months. Chris Thompson, my landlord's son, had just left the Oregon Department of Justice for private practice, Financial Crimes Division. I'd tutored him for his CPA exam. Time to collect. This is sophisticated, Chris said, reviewing my photographs of John's files. They're using a modified trade-based laundering system. But Daniel, you need more than theory. How much more? Documents, witnesses, something that connects the dirty money to the clean. Third stop. Zachary Mills, Richard Stone's assistant. I found him at a food cart, eating alone. I can't talk to you. I'm not asking you to. I'm just going to eat my lunch and talk to myself. If you happen to overhear. I pulled out my phone, showed him an email I'd recovered from an old backup. Sarah to Richard, dated 6 months before she met me. Need better product for the washing machine. Zachary's face went white. She called it that? The washing machine? You've heard the term. He stood to leave, then stopped. Check the Cascade digital bankruptcy filing. Public record. Page 847. Page 847 listed creditors, including a $800,000 consulting fee to S. Brooks Literary Services, dated 2 years before Sarah's first book deal with me as her ghostwriter. Jason Walker at the Portland Mercury wasn't related to Nathan Stone, just worked the financial beat for years. When I showed him what I'd found, he whistled. This is real? Every document. Why not go to the FBI directly? Because Sarah thinks she's won. If the FBI comes knocking, she'll destroy evidence. But if a journalist starts asking questions, she'll try to spin it. And spinning requires talking. Talking means mistakes. Jason published his first piece 3 weeks later. Not about Sarah, about unusual patterns in Portland's publishing scene. General, harmless. Sarah didn't even notice. The second piece questioned foreign rights sales that couldn't be verified. Publishers started asking questions. Sarah started sweating. The third piece connected Cascade Digital to several literary agencies. Richard called Sarah 17 times that day. I know because Zachary told Emily, who told me. Here's the thing about Sarah. She was brilliant, but not patient. When threatened, she acted. Always had. It's what made her great at schmoozing publishers and terrible at crime. The hardest moment came 3 weeks before the FBI raid. I was at the grocery store 11 p.m., buying coffee and ramen, when Sarah walked in with Richard. She was laughing at something he'd said, wearing the earrings I'd bought her for our 5th anniversary. My fist clenched around the shopping basket handle so hard the plastic cracked. She was right there, 20 feet away, glowing with success built on my father's story. I could have confronted her, screamed the truth in front of everyone, maybe even gotten myself arrested for violating the restraining order, which would have given her exactly what she needed to bury me forever. Instead, I turned my back, pretended to study pasta sauce labels until they left. My hands shook for an hour afterward. That night, I called Emily, told her I was done, couldn't do it anymore. You're 3 weeks away from destroying her, she said. 3 weeks. You've been invisible this long. Stay invisible just a little longer. She was right. Revenge isn't about the explosion. It's about the fuse. And I'd already lit mine. She tried to move the money. Chris had been monitoring the accounts through completely legal channels, public records, bankruptcy filings, SEC documents. When $800,000 suddenly appeared in a new account in Sarah's name, then immediately transferred to the Caymans, he had everything he needed. That's wire fraud, Chris said. Federal crime. And she did it after Jason's articles started. That's consciousness of guilt. I gave Jason everything. Turner's stylometry report, not as proof of authorship, but as evidence of fraud. The financial records, the Cascade Digital connection. Zachary's testimony, which he finally agreed to provide after Richard fired him for disloyalty. Jason's final article was a masterpiece. Not an accusation, a presentation of facts so damning that accusation was unnecessary. It ran on a Thursday. The FBI raided on Tuesday. I wasn't there when they arrested Sarah. I was teaching, explaining the difference between active and passive voice to 19-year-olds who'd rather be anywhere else. But Emily was at Powell's Books, attending Sarah's reading. She was reading the scene where your father sees America for the first time, Emily told me later. Your words about hope and fear and the weight of dreams. Then the agents walked in. Sarah got 7 years, not for stealing my book. That was a civil matter we settled later. For wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy. Richard got 9. Nathan Stone got 12. The restraining order was vacated. The divorce settlement overturned. Fraud voids contracts. All contracts. The Amber Compass was republished under my name 8 months later. Normal timeline for a publishing contract that was already in production. It hit the bestseller lists, this time legitimately. The dedication reads, "For my father, who taught me that truth, like amber, preserves what matters." I still make coffee at 5:47 a.m. 2 sugars, no cream. But now it's in a different apartment. One I chose, paid for with my own royalties. Sarah wrote me once from federal prison. Not to apologize. That wasn't her style. She wanted to know if I'd ghostwrite her memoir. "I made you famous," she wrote. "You owe me that." I kept the letter. Sometimes I read it when I doubt myself, when the old invisibility creeps back. It reminds me that she still doesn't understand. She never did. She thought she was stealing words. She was really stealing soul. The difference? Words can be replaced. Souls leave fingerprints that no amount of money can wash clean. Last week I signed a contract for my next book. My name on the contract, my photo on the jacket. The advance was modest, $50,000. But it was mine. Clean money for clean words. Emily and I are friends now. Not romantic. She's too young, and I'm too damaged. But she reads my drafts, and I read hers. Fair trades. Honest work. "You know what the irony is?" she said last week, reading my latest chapter. "Sarah was right about one thing." "What's that?" "You were too pure for the industry. But that's exactly what saved you." She was right. My ignorance of the business side, the very thing Eleanor exploited, meant I'd never signed anything, never participated, never knew. Clean hands can't be dirtied retroactively. The amber metaphor. I chose it because amber is patient. It waits millions of years, preserving truth inside beauty. You can steal the amber, sell it, claim you found it, but you can't change what's inside. The mosquito trapped in prehistoric resin doesn't care who owns the stone. Now it's on every bookshelf, in every review, in every reader's hands. Not invisible anymore. Not ghostwritten. Just written. The coffee maker still gurgles at 5:47. Same ritual, different life. When I sit down to write now, I sign my name first. Every page, every time, in ink that can't be erased, on stories that can't be stolen. Sarah was wrong. Words matter more than money. They always have. They always will.